An interstate work zone differs in that traffic is all going one way. Creation of the work zone usually involves closing off one or more lanes and channeling the traffic into a single travel lane. The temporary traffic control signs are larger and are usually gate-posted. For long lane closures, you may want to add a line of cones across the closed lane at intervals to remind drivers that the lane is closed.
On Wednesday, we'll be working on the interstate near mile marker 106. We need to close.
Plan your interstate lane closure using the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, as a guide. In this case, we will use typical application number TA33.
This looks like a pretty straight section of road here, so we shouldn't have a lot to worry about visibility of the signs. So here's what the plan looks like.
A daily plan should be created and discussed with the crew. An equipment checklist should be created.
All right, the equipment we're going to need for this, we're going to need 2 road work ahead signs, 2 left lane closed signs, 2 merge right symbols, 2 end road work signs, 8 sign stands, 80 to 100 cones, 1 aero board, and 1 truck mounted aero board.
For short-term work zones, cones may be used to channelize traffic. If the work zone will be left up overnight, barrels are recommended.
Sandy, you'll be in charge of traffic control for this job.
Assign a traffic control supervisor who will be responsible for making sure the temporary traffic control is set up correctly and stays that way. After you have your plan ready, it's time to make sure that you've got the right traffic control devices. Gather the traffic control devices you'll need. Make sure that each device is in good repair. Check the truck to make sure all lights are working correctly. The cone should be at least 28 inches tall, with a 6-inch reflectorized band on top and a 4-inch reflectorized band beneath it.
Once the truck is loaded and ready, have a crew meeting with everyone who will be on the work site to make sure everybody knows what is expected of them. Now you're ready to go.
Follow the plan that you've put together. The best practice is to use 2 trucks to set up the work zone. Use 1 truck with an aero board closest to oncoming traffic, and a second truck with a cone cage from which cones are deposited and picked up.
Use the amber beacons on the truck and set the aero board to flash in the caution mode. Start setting out advance warning signs 1.5 miles prior to the work area.
The first sign in the series is the road work ahead sign. On the interstate, with traffic all going one direction in multiple lanes, signs should be gate posted. Gate posting is when warning signs are placed on both sides of the road. Remember that if sandbags are used to anchor signs, they must be at ground level. Be sure to use extra vigilance when crossing the traveled lanes. Then place your lane closed signs. Place each sign at the appropriate distance according to your traffic control plan. The next set of signs are your merge signs. It is now time to set out the cones. Change the aero board from caution mode to aero mode. First set up the shoulder taper, and then place the aero board on the shoulder behind the cones. Now set out the merging taper, using the dashes as a way to measure, 1 cone per dash. You may want to double the cones so that they don't get blown over.
Along the tangent, which includes a buffer space and work area, set cones at least 1 every 3rd dash. Remember, you can always set out more cones than the minimum. If there's heavy traffic and cones might get knocked over, having extras is a good idea so that knockdown cones do not create a gap in the cone line that a driver might mistake for the end of the work zone. For long lane closures, you can add a line of cones across the closed lane at intervals to remind drivers that the lane is closed.
Set out your ending taper and the end roadwork signs.
The traffic control supervisor should do a drive-through inspection to get a driver's perspective of your work zone before equipment is moved into the work area. Drive through the work zone looking for the following. Is the sign visibility good? Is the aero board working correctly? Is it clear to drivers what is expected? Is traffic responding appropriately with smooth braking, merging, and lane shifts? Does the setup correspond to the traffic control plan? Is traffic backing up? If so, are warning signs far enough in advance of the back of the queue? Are signs or cones at risk of blowing over? Are workers adequately protected? Are any additional devices warranted? If any corrections are needed, make them immediately. Be sure to document any changes you make to the traffic control plan.
Now you can move the equipment into the work area. You may want a flagger with a slow paddle to help work vehicles move into the work zone and prevent other drivers from following.
The work zone should be inspected periodically throughout the day to check for blown over signs, cones and barrels, and for traffic backups that might require additional advanced warning.
Once the work is done, remove equipment and materials from the work area. Using the trucks with the arrow board and the cone cage, remove cones against the flow of traffic. Pick up the arrow board and put it in caution mode.
Once all the cones are picked up, drive to a U-turn or exit in reverse direction. When using a U-turn, pull over to the right shoulder to decelerate and stop across from the U-turn. When it is safe, drive across the travel lane into the U-turn. Then, when it is clear, cross to the far shoulder and use the shoulder to accelerate before pulling into the right lane. Go to the next U-turn or exit in reverse direction again to arrive at the lead sign of the work zone.
Pick up the signs with the flow of traffic, keeping the truck in the right shoulder and walking across to get the gate-posted sign from the left shoulder. Care should be taken while crossing. Always start your crossing from the rear of the truck where you are visible to oncoming traffic.